I'm Krishna. I'm having 10 years of industrial experience working for a global MNCs as a lead cloud engineer and database architect. Also, I'm having a 4 years of experience in a corporate training. Let's start, right? So let's start today. Before we start with today's agenda, right? So I just want to have a very quick recap that what we have discussed yesterday. Okay. So do you want to, explain a bit more about what enterprise do, what is actually these editions, why there are different editions there? That's fine. If not, that is also fine. So enterprise editions, there are different enterprise editions, sorry, different editions offering by Snowflake. So each edition will be depend on the way you are going to access the services, right? So standard edition will have very less number of services comparing to the next one is in a higher level, that's called as a enterprise edition, where enterprise edition you will get all the materialized views, time travel stuff. There are a lot of the services will be provided at the enterprise edition. And when you go to the business critical, where you have the HIPPA information, PCI information security, and AWS private link, so like that there is a different services. And you final one is a virtual private Snowflake, right? So virtual private Snowflake provides a dedicated service to your company alone, right? So they have a wire connection with your company to the nearby data centers, and there is no interpretation in between, and it's in a highly secure, and but it's going to cost more for you, right? So that's the additions we have discussed. And also it's very important to understand the additions. So whoever is appearing interview or in certifications, definitely you can expect a one question out of it. Okay. So, and also the next question, yesterday we discussed Snowflake architecture also, right? Yeah, it's a cloud services layer, compute resources, or a virtual warehouse, you can call it, or you can call it as a storage layer. So those are the three major layers we have it in a Snowflake. So whatever you fire on a Snowflake, right, that all information will be stored on a cloud services. That's called a metadata we call. What is metadata? A data about a data is nothing but a metadata. That means if there is some data, what is the data, right? You have written a small query saying that I want a customer information. So that's it. That's a data to that one, right? A data about the data is nothing but a metadata. So all this metadata will be stored in your cloud services layer, right? And next one is a warehouses, which helps you to process, right? Yesterday also we discussed, if you click a Chrome in your laptop backend, the processor will run and then it will open a prompt for you, Chrome prompt for you. So that kind of processor in Snowflake is nothing but it's a compute resources or a virtual warehouse. And storage layer is nothing but where your actual data is going to store, right? Your storage layer will be connected to one of the public cloud areas, that is AWS, GCP, or Azure, and it will start storing the data there. Okay, so those are the three layers. So that's also very important. Architecture is very important to understand, right? So definitely there is a questions. Your interview will start with an architecture. Okay, so next one we'll move on to virtual warehouse or compute resources, right? Just I highlighted that what is virtual warehouse. So as I said, virtual warehouse or compute resources connects the cloud services and storage. So what it will do is it will read the query fired on a cloud services layer and provides a compute resources to it. Resources means a processor resources to it, and it will communicate with the storage to fetch the data for a customer. Okay, so it's a pretty simple one, just provides the services to actually fetch the results from the storage. Okay, so don't worry if you don't understand this concept. Also, we have in a very elaborated session coming up on this one, so we will explain in detail. If that's not to worry if you don't understand, and if you are interested to know now itself, you kindly raise your hand or ask a question. I'm happy to help you in detail as well. Okay. And last point, on which layer the actual data will store in Snowflake. Yeah, it's a storage services, right? Your cloud services will have only metadata. Okay, processors will never have any kind of data, and storage is where your actual data is going to store. Okay, so this is good. We had a good recap now. So we will go to today's agenda. Okay, so today we are going to understand how we are going to use a SQL on top of Snowflake. So we discussed we don't need any major coding for a Snowflake to learn. Okay, the almost everything on a Snowflake can be provisioned using a SQL. Okay, either it is a data engineering capability, or a data analyst capability, or a data scientist capability. SQL is the sufficient for to work with a Snowflake. Okay, add on to it if you have a knowledge on the Python, Spark, or a Java or anything is an add-on for you. Okay, but to suffice the knowledge on a Snowflake, SQL is more than enough. Okay, so I have shooted with a couple of questions in previous sessions also, right? So someone has saying that how data analysts will really helpful for this SQL, how data scientists will use this SQL, right? So what happens? Right, so data analysts, what they do is a data analyst can use a SQL to access, right? Access, read, manipulate, and analyze the data stored in a databases, right? For us, the data is stored in storage layer, right? What they do is they access the data from there, they read the data from there, and they manipulate the data. So what is meant by manipulation here? So manipulation things nothing but it says, says that you have a data. Okay, so say there is something called, let me write up, right? So let me quickly write up. So what happens is there is a data called customer data. Okay, so customer data is there. Okay. This customer data, what happens is we got a customer details saying that location wise, a person is in Delhi. Okay, he bought an LCD from television company. Okay, what he will do, right? So a customer who bought a television, right? So now data analyst got saying that, okay, this particular person name called as Krishna or Ajit or Anil has bought a LCD from us. Okay, so let's take a feedback from him. Okay, what they do with this feedback, they understand how customer is satisfied with this, with this LCD. It could be a 44 inches LCD or a tube LCD or something they have bought it. Okay, so then what will happen is they will start putting a more knowledge on top of this data, and they will share the stats. Okay, they share the statistics with management to make the product better, right? So how he will able to get this all data, right? So how the data analyst will get all the data, right? So what happens is when a customer bought, so what we will do is we will be taking his name, his phone number, his location, okay, how much money he paid on it, what is the television he bought, is it a 44 inches or 24 inches, right? And product ID. So every product built from a manufacturing company will have its own product ID, right? So all these details will be captured and will be landed onto a Snowflake. Okay, so once the data is available on a Snowflake, what data analyst will do, he will access the data. Okay, access in sense whether that person is authorized to see the data or not, right? So this data analyst is called, like Krishna is there, like Anil is there. Okay, Anil is working for a television, I could say television department. Okay, so his work is plasma department. Okay, his work is plasma department. Okay, plasma TVs are there, right? It's plasma department. Whether Anil is okay to access the LCD department or not is something access. Okay, and access will give you an authorization. Okay, so what happens is Anil is eligible to access the LCD. Okay, then what happens is, yes, if that is the case, what admin team will do, admin team will provide an access to Anil. Okay, let's access LCD also for your data analysis. Okay, so it's a very important keyword to understand what is access and what is authorization. Okay, in interviews the question will be saying that how you will be maintaining your roles to provide an authorization for data analyst and data scientist in a Snowflake, right? So the answer is in Snowflake provides a concept called roles. Okay, so these roles will be assigned to the corresponding department people. So Anil is from plasma department team. Okay, so but you want to access an LCD department data. So what I'll do is I'll create a role for Anil. Okay, I'll assign this role to Anil saying that, okay, Anil, we are happy for you to access the LCD data. Okay, so that's nothing but an access. So now Anil got access for the data. So now what next step is to, he has to read the data, right? Where the data will be there, data will be available under the tables. Okay, we will discuss this tables. Okay, so the data will be available here. So Anil accessed the data now. Okay, now he have a raw data. Okay, what is the raw data? So he got the customer information who are all bought a LCD with 44 inches. Okay, and who paid a 20K for that. Okay, he got all the data now. So with this data, it's a raw data. He can't do any models and he can't do a betterment of the product. So what he will do, he will take this data. Okay, he will match up with the data where there is a feedback data. Okay, this is called feedback data. What he will do is, he will connect this data with this data. Okay, and he will come up with an analysis saying that, okay, this customer, okay, Anil says that customer Krishna has bought a LCD on, okay, February, but he is not happy with it. The reason is TV is getting stuck in between. Our TV is getting switched off automatically. Okay, I have provided a feedback from them. Okay, what Anil will do is, okay, let's identify in February how many TVs has been sold out. Okay, how many TVs have this kind of issue, and just send that the information to the product team. Okay, what product team will do is, they will go into the model or the TVs they manufactured in February. They will understand the stats, and what they will do is, they will call out that customer saying that we will replace your product or we will repair your product, right? So what happened, Anil did an analysis by accessing, reading and manipulating the data. What he has manipulated here, he manipulated the raw data with the feedback data. Okay, understand that what is not good. That means it was into a one shape. Okay, the raw data was into a one shape and feedback was into a one shape. He clubbed both of the data, he changed the shape out of it, and then he given it to the product, right? So now we would understand how the data analyst will work, right? So they access the data, read the data, and they manipulate the data. So the manipulation is nothing but where he put his knowledge to change the data to have some information, right? So with that information only, actually product team able to reach out to the customer and they given a good service. So what will happen if you provide a good service? We will increase our business, we will increase our revenue, and we will increase our trust, right? So that's where the even all the car companies, right, Teslas or a Tata or Mahindra, what happens is they check how many issues are appearing in the their service centers. So if the service centers have a lot of issues on a particular case, right, saying that the AC vent is not working in this model, what they will do is they will run some analysis in backend, and they'll start calling out the customer saying that we are really sorry for this model, there is a problem with your AC vent. You come back to the service center, we will service it to you for free of cost. Okay, that's how they will gain the business. So who will help you to do all this stuff, right? So data engineer will bring you data for this raw data and all this feedback data and all. But analysts, what they will do, they will club this all data and they will provide the statistics for the business teams to provide a service to the better service to the customers, right? So that's what data analyst will do. So what they'll do, generate a useful insights. Yes, definitely we generated a useful insights so that product team can reach out to the customer to derive an informed decision making process, right? Definitely. So what happened if customer is not happy in February, there are February made TVs have a lot of issues, so they have to do some kind of repair or a service for it, right? So that's nothing but they have it actually provided them a decision making process over there, so they could able to make a decision based on the stats provided by the data analyst. Okay, so whoever is interested to move on to a Snowflake data analyst roles, right? So this is what your work is going to be. You start creating a models. So to create all these models, what you will use, you will be using creating a views, a long queries, okay, a different joins or clubbing a data with a different tables, and using a Snowflake features, how quick you can fetch the results, okay, and how easily you can provide the statistics to the company. Okay, so either it is using a marketplace or a data sharing or a KPIs directly to the executives, how you are going to share with the executives. Okay, so now there is another question raised, right? How data scientists, right? So what is the use of SQL for the data scientist? right? So before we go, what data scientists will do, right? What is a SQL for data science will do actually, right? So it is easy to learn and use. So yes, we definitely know SQL is a very easy concept and must known to all the data related, working people, easy to use and understanding your data, right? So there is a raw data, right? If you want to understand some data, how you are going to understand? You have to communicate with the data, right? Unless you are not going to communicate with the data, you can't understand it, right? To understand your data, you have to start communicating. How you can communicate? The language is called as a SQL. Okay, and SQL is everywhere. Okay, you take SQL, you can write SQL in Python or PySpark. You can write SQL in JavaQL, they call JQL, right? So JQL is also kind of a SQL. Okay, like that HQL, Hadoop query language, it is also kind of a SQL, right? So SQL is everywhere, right? So SQL, you can use it at everywhere. It's a the just thing is the format of writing a SQL could change, but the intention and the way of writing SQL is same. Okay, and fourth point says SQL integrates with scripting language. Yes, definitely. I said, you can write a SQL in your Unix also. You can write a SQL, or Java also. You can write a SQL in PySpark also. You can write a SQL, right? All the scripting areas also you can write your SQL. Okay, and SQL is a declarative. So SQL is a declarative. It doesn't mean that. So you can declare the statements. There is no change to it, right? So if I say create table, it's a create table everywhere only. It's a declarative stuff. There is no change. So if I go to somewhere else, okay, create table is doesn't mean table to be created. You don't need to write like that. It's going to be very declarative. There is no change in the syntaxes. Okay, and next one is manage large volumes of data, right? So we are going to deal with a very large amount of data, millions and millions of data. So how could you easily communicate with the data? Is the SQL is one of the medium. Okay, and never ending scope, right? SQL will never end. The day one it has started, when it was there, till now SQL have its own prominence and usage in the industry. So now we understand how SQL is useful for the data science, right? So they even data science needs a SQL to understand, communicate with the data, have to run their models. They have to integrate with their scripting languages, either Python or a PySpark or a Java, whatever it is. Okay, and SQL is one of the easiest way to communicate with a large volume of data. Right. So now read out the statement. Okay. In order to experiment with the data through the creation of test environments, what data science will do is data science teams will create a lot of environments. Okay. What they will do is they will start deploying their code into a different environments to understand the behavior of their code. Right. So what they do is they will build a model now, model in some says the dev1 environment. They will deploy that into a dev2 environment to understand how the model is behaving, what are the stats are going to change, right? So what they will do is data scientists make use of a SQL as their standard tool. Okay, a basic data science people, okay, the minimum they expect from them is a SQL. Okay, they should know the SQL to understand or communicate with the data. Okay, and to carry out a data analytics with the data that is stored in the databases or data warehouses like a Snowflake, Oracle, and MySQL. We need a SQL for the data scientists. Okay, so data scientists, if they want to create their model to communicate with the data, right? So data is everything. If they want to show some stats or they want to show some reports, they have to communicate with the data. So they definitely need a SQL to run and communicate with the data and generate the models. Okay, so this slide says for data scientists also SQL is a must to know, or it's a minimum to know to communicate with the data and come up with their models work, right? So the next slide, right? So next slide says, one second, yeah. Next slide says whoever it is, I just mentioned this point, whoever it is, it could be a data analyst, it could be a data scientist, it could be a data engineer also, right? They need a SQL to understand. They need a SQL to write. They need SQL is a structure query language to know in their language and how they are going to integrate in their technology what they are using, irrespective of whatever technology they are using. right? So the reason why SQL examples, so these are the three examples I could say, right? So optimize the sales funnel. So how can we optimize the sales funnels, right? So if you started, Diwali is going to come up, we could see there is a lot of offers coming up in a Flipkart or a different websites where they are going to sell, lesser cost of a TVs, furnitures, clothings, mobiles everywhere, right? So to understand that sales, right, how much sales is going to happen and how much profit company is going to gain from this offering in at a Diwali time, right? All these sales, to optimize the sales, like they want to come up with the stats and how to take the better decisions, right? So to make this all optimizations, you definitely need a SQL to understand the data, right? Or analyze and build a business trends, right? You want to understand the business trends, how business really moving forward, or it's actually downgrading here, or a customer behavior, customer trend analysis. So what happens is a customer is buying a different products from some different company, so they will understand why he is buying a different products. He is really going to establish some house, or he's buying some construction work, he's making some construction work, so he is buying some construction tools from us. So let's show the latest construction tools we have so that he will be interested to buy it, right? So they will come up with the business trends. Okay, run basic analytics within minutes, right? So SQL is one of the important and easy to run your analytics, within a fraction of minutes, to understand what is happening currently or what is happened in history also. Okay, so combination of your history and what is running currently will give you your future predictability, right? So your future analytics, how you can do, you should able to understand what happened in the history and what currently the person is doing, so that at least I can show some future analytics for him and roll out that product for the customer and make business out of it, right? That's a very important, that's how the SQL is very important for any kind of data related person. Okay, he could be any kind of role. So if he is dealing with the data, so definitely he should know the minimum is the SQL. Okay, so moving on to the next slide, right? So SQL command. So we're discussing a SQL. It's a structured query language. Okay, so what is SQL here and how many commands we have to run? Okay, and probably we can say on a very high level how many commands we have. Okay, so you could see SQL commands are instructions, right? So you want to talk to your data. Okay, so you have to pass some instruction. So what kind of instructions you pass, right? So example, I would say, so I'll just write a couple of instructions. Okay, so what happened is, so I have a data. Okay, so what happened is I have a data. So this data is belongs to I could say health. Let's talk about health. We already discussed about a product, right? So we have a health information. So what happened is, in this health information, I say that patient ID, okay, patient joining date, okay, patient problem, could be a disease, or and what got been diagnosed. Okay, is it diagnosed, given a tablets or whatever it is. Okay, so we have a data right now. Okay, and now what I'll say is, my manager come to me, our business come to me. Okay, what business says that, okay, Krishna, we want to understand how many people suffering with a disease called appendix. Okay, appendicitis, right? So appendicitis in February, whom we have diagnosed them. Okay, so he will vaguely come and ask me this information. Now I should understand what he is trying to ask here, right? So his question is, in February, okay, in February, what he is trying to do, he needs an appendicitis for people who are affected with appendicitis, okay, in February, and who are been diagnosed. Okay, diagnosed means who stayed in this hospital and we really diagnosed and solved the problem, right? This is what his problem statement comes in, right? So this kind of problem statements comes to both data engineers and data analytics teams also. Okay, so how I can able to understand here, I have a data and I have the requirement right now, right? So now I need to write some queries on top of this table to get this information out of it, and I can able to provide it to the the client. Or on top of this, what I'll do is I'll have a visualization tool. Okay, it could be a Power BI, or a Tableau or whatever it is. So I'll pass this information to this visualization tools, and visualization tool will show the graph saying that, okay, so this is the graph. Okay. In this graph, there is a 25% of people as having appendicitis, and we have diagnosed them. Okay. So, but how can I fetch a results, right? How can you fetch a results? The only communicator we have here, it is a SQL. Okay. So this SQL, what we will do is you will write a different types of SQL commands to get this information. Okay. Now switch back to the slide and understand what kind of SQL commands we have, right? So if you see the SQL commands we have is a DDL. Okay. What is DDL? DDL is nothing but a data definition language. Okay. So I'll provide the abbreviations in another sheet. Okay. You don't worry to remember this one. So going forward, you'll understand it. Okay. The data definition language. So what is data definition language, right? So under data definition language, there are four major, commands are there. What is that? One is a create, right? You have to create some table, okay, to store some data. So usually table is nothing but a rows and columns. Okay, so you just understand here, right? I have a small table here. You see this box, the table. So you see there is a rows and columns. So this is a row and this is the columns, right? In each row, I have a patient ID. Okay, I have a patient joining date and what is the patient problem and what is diagnosed, right? Each one is a column for me and each is a row, right? If I start entering here saying that, okay, patient ID is Sam. Okay, patient joining date was on January 1st and patient had an appendicitis and we diagnosed it. Yes. Okay. So now we got this information. So this is called row and this is called column. Okay. So now a customer will ask you saying that, or a client will ask you saying that, Krishna, there is a health table, right? Can you tell me how many columns are there in the table so that we will try to add more columns to it? Okay. So how can you understand it, the columns? So by seeing this is a small table, we can understand 1, 2, 3, 4 columns are there. Okay. I'll just say that, yeah, see, there are 4 columns in this health table. So right now the health table is defining saying that patient ID, joining date, and what problem he had and whether we diagnosed him or not. Right. So you will pass this information back to him. And what he says that, okay, this is all the data is there. Let's add one more column to it. Okay, so one more column. So we will add a little more information to this table. So in future, we will try to understand a more information about the customer or the patient. Okay, so a DDL will be used to create this kind of tables. Okay, how you will get a requirement, right? So you will get a requirement like this. So as a data engineer or as a data analyst, you will get a mapping document from your customer. Okay, or your client in a project. So you're working for a project. So think that you're working from a health sector project or no television product, and you have a client sitting in a USA, UK or somewhere. What they will do is they will pass you Excel sheet like this. Excel sheet or a different tools are there, Confluence or somewhere. So they'll pass the information like this. What they will do is, we are doing a business of a television business. Okay, in a television business, there are different departments called as an LED or something like that. Okay, and in this departments there are products or details. Okay, so we can call it as a products better. Okay, there is a products, a plasma product with 44 inches. Okay, and they will say that I need all these details to be available in the table. So what are all the details? The details are the customer ID, product number, date of buying when he bought the TV, and cost he paid at the time of buying. Okay, size of the screen, that is a 44 inches or a 24 inches or 32 inches or something like that, and load date. So what is load date? Load date is nothing but an audit column we call. Okay, so audit columns will be used to track when that particular data has entered into our table. Okay, so now I have what happens is Krishna is there, I bought a TV. Okay, Krishna is there, I bought a TV. The product number is 123 and I bought it on January 1st. Okay, and the cost of the TV was 10K. Okay, and size of the screen was 44. Right, 44 inches TV I bought. This is the data. When I bought the actual data, so the TV I bought is on January 1st. But in table says that after your transaction is completed, it will take 1 or 2 days to enter into your table, right? So that means this has entered into a table on January 3rd. So if a customer, right? So what happens is whenever I see this table, or a customer, a client, or whoever sees a table, so they will understand this data saying that, okay, Krishna bought a product, okay, on January 1st, paying a 10,000, and that is a 44 inches TV. Okay, this data has loaded into our table on January 3rd. Okay, this is what the information it will pass when you see the table. Okay, literally when you see tables, it will looks like this. Okay, this is nothing but a row, and this is nothing but a columns. Okay, so your DDLs will help you to create a tables. Okay, drop the tables. That means I have created a table called as a product LED. Okay, this table name called as an LED. I have created a table. Okay, and after some days you got a client saying that, okay, Krishna, we don't require LED anymore. Okay, so what do you do that time? So if you don't want the data, you just drop the table. You don't require the table to be available in your database. So if you are storing some data in the table, right? So if you are storing some data means you are going to use some storage, right? For storage, there is a cost, right? If you remove the data from the storage, there is no cost for it. That means you are doing a cost optimization here. Okay, so in an interview, if someone asks you saying that, what are all the cost optimization techniques you have performed in your project? Okay, you can say that, so the tables which are redundant, so that means the tables which are not more useful for us, or which is not required, right? So what we used to take is, we used to observe that kind of tables on every monthly basis, and we will remove the tables from a databases, or we will drop the tables from a databases. So by dropping the tables, we used to save some space in a storage. Okay, or we will clear some data from the storage, which directly helps us to do a cost optimization. Okay, this is the way you need to answer if any questions arises on a cost optimization. There are a lot more techniques, so eventually when we go into a different slides or different sessions, I will be explaining this kind of cost optimization techniques or something. But interviews, definitely there will be a one question, because companies will be more interested to save money. Definitely everyone wants to save money and run a business, right? So what is cost optimization, right? So when you remove some data from storage, directly you are saving some space. If you are saving some space means you are saving some cost. Okay, so switching back to this one. So create table we discussed. So we have created a table and we drop the table whenever we don't require it. So alter is nothing but if the customer, I had a requirement from a customer saying that to that table add one more column, right? So what is one more column? So I'll just go here. So this is my table. Okay, so they asked me to add a one more column to it. So what I'll do is I will write an alter command. So I'll explaining you the alter commands and everything going forward. So I'll just add a one more column here. Okay, so adding a one more column or removing a columns, okay, everything can be done using the alter commands. Okay, what is truncate? Truncate is also drop. When I said, right, I have created a table. Okay, and what I have done is I just removed everything. Okay, there is no table at all when you see at a database. Okay, so at the time, that means you're dropping the table. What is the truncating a data is, you are just removing the data out of it, removing all data out of it. You have an empty table now. Okay, in truncate situation, table will still exist. Okay, but in drop situation, table will go off. Okay, that's a difference. We don't need to put more mind over here, but eventually I'll show how the command works, and how it will actually show it on the screen also. Okay, and next one is a DCL. Okay, what is a DCL, right? DCL is nothing but a data control language, right? In the first slide we discussed that access and authorization, right? Who need to access that particular data? Who are authorized to see the data or manipulate the data or change the data, right? That will be decided by the commands providing by the DCL. Okay, control language. It will give a control to the customer or control to the person. Okay, what it means, there are two commands. One is a grant and revoke. Grant is we will grant access to that person. Okay, revoke is I'll revoke access to the person. So okay, so in first slide we discussed, we have given access to Anil to deal with an LCD data. Okay, that means I granted access to him. Okay, he completed his work. I told him, so you use it only for 2 days. After 2 days, I'm going to revoke your access. Okay, so your revoke is nothing but you're taking back the access from the Anil. Okay, so now DML actions, right? DML actions is nothing but a manipulation languages. Okay, data manipulation languages. If you want to change the shape of the data, your DML actions is going to help you out. Okay, so when you see this all commands, right, it literally very easy commands. Okay, so now all I'm trying to say is you try to understand what kind of actions we able to do with the Snowflake. Sorry, actions we can do with this SQL on Snowflake are everywhere, right? Either it could be any person, how this SQL is going to help them, right? Data manipulation languages, insert, update, and delete. Okay, insert means you load the data. Okay, there is an already customer is there. Krishna bought a TV 44 inches, but later we understand Krishna has not bought a 44 inches. He bought only 24 inches. Then you need to update the data in a table. So you will run an update statement. Then you say Krishna has wrongly appeared. He actually didn't buy any kind of TV. Okay, but we have that record available in our table, right? Then what you will do is I will remove the data, right? Best example I would say is the same thing, right? So this is one record is available in a table. Okay, now we understand Krishna has bought a 44 inches. Okay, this is the record available on a day one. Day two, we got a news saying that Krishna has actually bought a 24 inches only. So that means I have updated it. Okay, so you have updated the data. The first time when you did, it's an insert. You inserted data. Next time you updated the data. Next time you understand Krishna has actually didn't bought any kind of TV. Okay, then what we will do is we will remove all this data. Okay, that means it's simply a delete. Okay, we will delete the data. So when you first put a data into a table called as an insert, if you made any change to the data is called as an update. If you think the data is not relevant to have it in the table is something called as a delete. Okay, so that's all. So you are changing the data here. You are changing the data from one form to another form, right? That's nothing but a manipulation. Okay, you are manipulating the data here. That's the reason they named it as a DML. It's a data manipulation language. Okay, so TCL, right? TCL is a transaction control language. Okay, this TCL is not needed for the Snowflake because Snowflake have its own TCLs in a backend. You no need to take care of any of this one. T is nothing but a transaction, right? A transaction. If you go to ATM, you have withdrawn a money. Okay, you have collected the cash. Okay, after you collected the cash, that's nothing but your transaction is successfully completed, right? Or else sometimes what happens is when you go to ATM, you insert your card and you do everything, and in before your cash is dispensed, right? So what happens is your ATM will go switch off, or ATM will be out of power, and your cash will get stuck, right? That means there is no cash dispensed to you, right? But transaction is not completed at the time. What happens is it roll back inside and cash will never come in, and there is no transaction happen for you, right? If transaction is successfully completed, that's a commit. It's committed, transaction is successfully completed. What is rollback? Transaction failed and it got rolled back, right? Save point is now you inserted card, you typed in your password, okay, your pin code, and you mentioned your how much cash you want. Okay, till 3 points you didn't cash and the transaction is not completed, right? The point it is saved is you made some kind of actions on ATM till entering the money, right? That's called as a save point. It's a point till your actions was successful. Okay, but there is no commit happened and no rollback happen. Why the save points are important, right? So if there is some errors happening in your ATM, right? So there are 10 people came in for withdrawing a money. So everyone is saying that, okay, after I entering money, right, the system is going down. Okay, now your bank has to understand there is some problem with this amount, this ATM. How can I understand this one? Then what they will do is they will go into save points. They will understand at what point it is actually giving an error for us, right? So for that kind of transactions or for that kind of error diagnosis, they will use a save points. Okay, this commit, rollback, and save points are automatic in a Snowflake. Okay, majorly you could observe this kind of transactions in a MySQL or Oracle, where you need to explicitly mention whether the transaction is completed or rollback should happen or save points to happen. Okay, but in Snowflake, it's a smart way. It's automatically can be taken care by the Snowflake team because the architecture been designed in that way. Okay, the last one says the DQL. DQL is a data query language. You have to write some queries, right? So the only command we have in a SQL throughout, you take any technology, the query can be done only using a select. So, okay, you will need to select, I need select customer name, who bought a TV from a television table, right? So that's the way you need to query and get the data output out of it, right? So DQL is nothing but a data query language. Okay, so our SQL work and the SQL training, the basic SQL training, right, on this one, all will be spreaded across this table. Okay, where exactly it will the most of the commands you will use either DDL, DCL, DML, or DQL. TCL is not required for the Snowflake. Okay, so apart from this, we will be discussing a little bit of data analytics also. Okay, how data analytics teams will run, how they will run the models, and how they will identify the customers has been duplicated or something like that. We will understand a little more advanced topics apart from this one. Okay, so the people who are very fresh, right, they have to understand this everything. Okay, so we will have some other blog for this. I will be sharing that link with you guys. Very high level, try to understand what is this one. Eventually we will have a hands-on lab on it. Okay, so we will understand what exactly the each category says, and each category takes an action on a table. Okay, so I'll just quickly read out these 2 points. Okay, it also used to perform the specific tasks, functions, and query of the data, right? Specific tasks is something, but I want to grant a data, or I want to write some functions to manipulate the data, right? So it could be an insert, update, or delete, right? Queries is something, but I want to select the data. So you can do all kind of this functionality using the SQL commands. Okay, SQL can perform various tasks like create a table, add tables, drop the table, modify the table, set permissions of the users, right? This all we discussed. So you can create, drop, alter, you can grant an access, grant a permissions to the users. So everything can be done with your SQL. Okay, so SQL, you could see, you could do a lot of authorizations as well. You could do a lot of data ingestion as well, where you can manipulate the data as well. So SQL have a lot of powerful features to communicate with any kind of data, and if you know SQL, you can use it on any kind of data warehousing concepts or databases as well. Okay, so, and example I just mentioned here, DCL commands are used to provide the grant and take back the authority from any database user. This is the example I have given for Anil. Okay, we can grant access or we can take back the access also. So this slide, right? So this slide we have already discussed yesterday. So I want to just touch upon this one. Okay, Snowflake storage layer, right? So now we discussed our data will be stored in a tables, right? What is the hierarchy of these tables, right? You have an account created. Okay, you will have an account created on for your own training purpose, right? So yesterday I have rolled out that how to create a trial account. So you have an account created. In every account there is a database, and inside a database there is a schema. Okay, now inside a schema there are all the tables will be there. Okay, so on top of the tables, or to create the tables, we will be using a SQL commands here. Okay, so to read out these points, right, all the data in the Snowflake are stored in a database tables. Okay, we will be creating a tables, and we load the data into that data into the tables. So you're actually, whenever someone asks you where exactly your data is stored, right, so on a physical term you need to say is, yeah, my data is stored in a tables, right? So the data will get stored in a tables, and you can access the data by using a different SQL commands or a different other technologies. Okay, so how the data will enter into these tables, right? Either you inject doing a bulk loads, or you're inject doing using a ETLs, or you can inject using directly Snowflake ETLs, or a different other flexibilities we have with the Snowflake, right? So you could see the tables are the logical entities and collection of rows. The rows are collection of the columns. So it's that's the point we discussed. If you see, if this is a table is a collection of rows. 1 row, 2 row, 3 row, 4 row, like that. There are collection of rows, and each row is a collection of columns. So if you take this row, this is the column 1 and this is the column 2. Okay, so a table is a collection of rows, and rows is the collection of columns, right? So where these tables will exactly get resided, right? Tables will get resided inside a schema, right? So there is a hierarchy. You need to understand the hierarchy is for every time before database. Okay, first you create a database, and inside a database you'll create a schema, and inside schema you created tables, right? That's the example we have taken here. So your television is the company. Okay, thinks that television is the company. So it's a database for me. Okay, LED is a schema. So LED is a one schema. So in like that LED, there is something called as a plasma. Plasma is also one schema for me. Okay, or think that there is a Wi-Fi also. This TV, this company is providing Wi-Fi is another schema for me. Okay, inside a schema, the products is nothing but a tables. Products are a details of a customer, anything, right? So this you can call it as a tables, right? So this tables under a schema, the tables will be created. It could be a number of tables. Table name with 24 inches slash another table name with 44 inches slash another table name with 52 inches. So you can have any number of tables. There is no restriction for that. Okay, you can have any number of schemas under a database also. There is no restrictions. Any number of tables also, no restrictions. Okay, under schema there are like tables, there are other components as well. Okay, what are all those components? Tables will be there. Okay, I'll just zoom in a bit. Okay, tables will be there, views will be there, file formats will be there, stages, store procedure, sequence. Okay, there are different components available under a schema. Okay, every components it's have its own significance in the Snowflake. Okay, in our next sessions, every task we're going to discuss, and every task you have a hands-on as well. Okay, when you enter into a project, right? So what you will do is you will use a file formats. Example, if you are getting some files from a third-party teams or your sourcing team. So how the data will appear to you is you have your sourcing team. Your sourcing team will provide some data to you to process. Okay, how they will pass the data to us? It could be discussed in the first session. It could be a files. It could be a images. It could be a audio, or some way they are going to provide a data to you. Okay, how you are going to interpret the data, how you are going to read the data, right? There should be some format, right? What is a format, right? So example, I would say in this one, I'll write saying that 12, 13, 14, 15, 520, 51. Okay, so if you see, I got this kind of data. Okay, they will say that, okay, you have to process this data. How can I process this data? I need to understand the format. Okay, what it means is 12 is nothing but a length, 13 is nothing but a breadth, and 14 is nothing but a height, and the total of the plot size is 555. 555. I understand. So like this, they have given information to me saying that, okay, first one is in height, length, and breadth, and last one is the plot size. Okay, how I'll read? File format I'll create. Okay, one file format for the sourcing team. So whoever sourcing team think that I'm going to get this data from a Philips team. Okay, Philips is one of the television, right? Philips team is going to pass this information from this. For Philips teams, I'll create a one file format. What this file format is, use comma as a separator. Okay, first one, right? Column 1, use first comma and put the data here. Okay, and column 2, use the second comma and put the data here, 30. Like that, column 3, 14, column 4, 551. Okay, 515. So every time I can't make this decision, right? So Philips is going to send a file for every 5 minutes. I can't make the decision every time how you are going to read the data, right? So what I'll do is, for that purpose, I'll create a file format. File format is one of the concepts in a Snowflake, how you are going to read particular files. Okay, it's not only this type of files, any kind of files. It could be in a CSV, comma separated file. It could be XML, okay, semi-structured file, or it could be a JSON file, or it could be a Parquet file. There are a different type of files, or ORCN or Avro file. For any kind of files, you can create a file formats. Okay, this file format is one of the advanced concept we have it in a Snowflake, where you can't see it in on any on-premise or in other cloud areas. Okay, so example, you take BigQuery. Okay, BigQuery, there is nothing called as a file format. All you need to do is you have to define the format, or you have to use the existing format providing by a Google Cloud or a AWS Teams, right? So, but in Snowflake, you have a facility. So tomorrow this is that this format is going to change. Okay, what we are doing is for last column we are going to add hyphen. Okay, in that time what you will do, you can't change the format for all the data, right? All you will do is simply you will go to this format for last column, make sure you are read hyphen and you read the value next to it. Okay, just changing this is fine. This particular file format is more than enough. Now whatever the files you are going to receive from Philips, automatically this file format will read the data and it will inject the data into your table. Okay, so like that there are advanced topics we have. Okay, where all this data, all these components will be stayed is it will be stayed under a schema. Okay, so so now we understand the hierarchy. We will create the account. Yesterday we created the account. Under account we will create a database. So today I will show you how to create the database. Under the database we will have a schema. Okay, under schema we will have a tables, views, file format, stages, procedures and sequences. Okay, so tomorrow we will discuss about schema and tables also. Today we will discuss about database, how to create a database, how many databases I have in my account. Okay, can I drop any database which is not required for me? Okay, whether I can alter database. Okay, this kind of questions you will get it as a data engineer role or a developer role. When you enter into a project, you will get a question saying that, okay, can you, so Anil, can you fetch me all the database details you have it on your account, so that we will understand, and how much it is costing also we will estimate. Okay, in that time, what you will do, you will go to the Snowflake, you will write a proper command, you will run it, and you will export into an Excel sheet or somewhere, and you will send it to the department. That kind of duty is a data engineer also will do. Okay, so you should be ready writing a commands, and get acquainted, or you get used to that commands, right? So you will understand what you need, what your customer is interested to understand, and you are going to fetch that results and giving back to them. Okay, so to read out these other comments, right? Schema are a logical containers of a database objects and reside inside the database. So yeah, you see this circle, right? You see this circle, the schema is inside the database. Okay, and database is inside the account. Okay, and the next one says a schema also contain other database objects like views, views, sequence, file format, stages, stored procedures, etc. So there are different concepts we have. So it all will be resided under a schema. Okay, and databases are defined and owned by an account. Yeah, definitely you could see the database is inside the account, right? So a database is how many databases we have in a single account. There is no restriction to it. All the databases owned by a account only. Okay, so we will see that in a window. Okay, so this is a very high level. You could see the diagram, user account role. So there is a person who have created an account. Okay, he have a different databases. You can see a lot of different databases he have, and each database will have a schema. Okay, so there you see here, as I said, there is no restriction having a lot number of schemas in a single database also. So this is a database, he is having a 3 schemas inside it. Okay, so on this schemas there is a views, stages, file formats, and everything is available. This is how it will show when you enter into a Snowflake UI. Okay, so as you can see, there is a lot number of databases also created. So you see here 3 databases are there, 1, 2, and total 5. So there is no restriction in an account. You can have any number of databases, any number of schemas, any number of tables or stages, or anything. There is no restriction to have it. Okay, so we will move on to a database, right? So in this diagram, we understand that an account, database, and schema. So today we will discuss how to create a databases. We will quickly go on to a Snowflake UI. Okay, so this is the Snowflake UI you will see. Okay, the people who are recently logged into Snowflake, right? Who are joined a Snowflake recently, who has got a trial account recently, they will not be seeing this particular window. They will be seeing an upgraded version called as a Snow site. So where you see all these ribbon things are there, right? Databases, shares, and everything you will be seeing here. Okay, so better than that, you use this console, it will be easy to understand and get practiced also. Going forward, we will start looking into Snowsite also. Okay. So how you can able to convert your that particular window or a particular screen to this screen is, I have done a video on it. Okay, we have in a blog, blog also on that. I'll share that blog with you guys. Okay, just try to change it. All you need to do is you need to go to the profile and just change it to the classic window. This is called classic window. Okay, you change it. If tomorrow, if you have any trouble of changing that into a classic window, I'll help you out in the session itself. Okay, so today we will be discussing databases. So you see there is an already Snowflake has given a ribbon called a databases. So right now I have a two databases. One is a Snowflake simple data and one is a Snowflake. So these are all the databases. Now I want to create a database, and I personally don't know SQL. I don't know how to write a SQL. Okay, so how can I create a database? So I'll say that I got a requirement from a customer saying that, yeah, Krishna, you have to create a database called as a television. Okay, television with LED, television with LED. Okay, so I have created a, I named it one. So I'll be giving a comment saying that this database will be used to store LED data. Okay. Now, as I don't know SQL, I know Snowflake is giving me an opportunity to create directly from a UI. So I have given all these details. Okay. The people who are interested in a SQL, right? So all they need to do is click show SQL. Whatever you write on a UI, right? Snowflake will automatically convert it into a SQL in a backend, and it will show you also. Okay, if you want to run, so I'll just copying it for now. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm creating a database. Okay, finish. So now you see I have created a database. So what it is happening, it is saying that television LED is a database created at 8/19, okay, today. And who is the owner of it? It's an account admin. So you see I am right now logged in with an account admin. Okay, account admin is the owner, and database. So always comments, you write a comments for database. So if not you, if someone else sees that, what is the purpose of created this database, right? This is saying that this database will be used to store LED data. So now I'll understand, okay, all LED data is available in this database. So let's use this database. Okay, so now think that one more thing. So customer says that, okay, Krishna, we don't need an LED. Okay, this database we don't require. So I don't know SQL what to run it, right? What I'll do is I'll simply go click this drop. Okay, and click this yes. Now you see the database is gone. This is in backend also. It executed a command saying that drop database television underscore LED. So now it is not there. So as database is not there, the data is not there inside it, I saved a little of money over there. Okay, so like that, if you want to clone something, right, you can clone it. Clone is like you can have a duplicate database, or you have created a database. I have created a database. Okay, and I want to transfer this ownership to Sai. Okay, what I'll do is I'll select the database, I'll click a transfer ownership, and I'll pass the ownership to Sai. Okay, you can do all these actions though if you are not knowing a SQL commands. Okay, or if you want to run a SQL commands, all you need to do is go to worksheets. Okay, we will give here. Okay, so if you are working directly on a Snowflake, you can create databases, SQLs, or create tables directly on a UI. So people who are working with the Python, Java, or with any other ETL tools, okay, or who are so familiar with only SQLs or SnowSQL, okay, they can write a SQL commands like this. Okay, now you see what I'm trying to do. I'll just try to create a database. I created a database. It said me saying that database television LED is successfully created. Now I'll refresh this page. You could see I have a television underscore LED. Okay, now this I could see a two schemas. This is a DB database. Under database, there will be a schemas. Okay, these two schemas are provided by a Snowflake itself. We will discuss tomorrow what is the usage of this schemas. Okay, why Snowflake is automatically giving the schemas for us. Okay, now I have created a database. I want to remove this data. I don't want this database. Drop database. Okay, and this one. Okay, I will drop this database. Okay, before dropping, right, there is a requirement from a client saying that I want to know what are all the databases available in your account. Okay, what I'll do is show databases. Okay, I'll execute this command. Okay, now it shows me there are 3 databases available. Okay, the names are Snowflake, sample data, Snowflake, and television LED, and there is no default array anything. The current one I am using it is Y. So the window, you see the current is nothing but television LED. What is selected you're working on right now. Okay, it says the current your current session is working on this one. Okay, and origination is happened from this teams. Okay, and who is the owner of it, and what is the purpose of created this databases. And retention time is how many days it is going to retain in your database. So your client asked, Krishna, I want this all details. Can you quickly fetch it and give it to me? What you will do, you will run this command and you will get all these results. Okay. What you will do, you will simply copy this, download this sessions. Okay. You will download it in an Excel and you will pass it to the client. Okay. Okay. Client understand Krishna executed some queries in backend. Okay, if he doesn't know the Snowflake, right, he thinks that, okay, Krishna has executed a complex queries to get all this information. But if you see in the front end, it's a very simple information, right? So all we're doing is running a very simple command. Okay, so you will get all the details like that and you can pass it to the client. So client will understand how many databases are there, how much it is charging, and what is the purpose of the database created. Okay. Now I don't want the database is television LED. All I do is drop table command. Drop database table says that I have dropped this one. So now see if that database is available for us. Right? You see that I don't have a television right now. Right? So like that, we will be going through many more commands like this going forward. Tomorrow we will discuss about schemas and tables and a lot other details. Okay. So these are the basic commands I mentioned. So you could see we can do it from a UI directly who doesn't have a right now doesn't have a SQL knowledge. So we will grab a SQL knowledge also going forward. Who has already have a SQL knowledge, they can use SQL also to communicate the Snowflake and get the components onboarded. And thank you so much for joining.